Very brief comment. I love how China has the habit of looking back into history for past patterns. We look at the history of the US. At the moment, it's in political gridlock, a very difficult political situation. But there are examples in America's history where it looks impossible. It looks like the US is, as it is, turning inward, ignoring the realities of the world. If you go back to the time when Kennedy was murdered, people have forgotten that Kennedy's legislative program before he was murdered was absolutely blocked. There was no way Congress was going to enact it. He was murdered, and in the next 100 days, Johnson put through that entire legislative program, including the most far-reaching civil rights legislation since Abraham Lincoln. So the impossible can happen in the US. So I'm hopeful that America, it looks difficult at the moment, it looks very negative, but there's some very, very bright, enlightened people in America, and a new dawn could come very fast if you look at the patterns of American history.
Maybe I'll just quickly address your question as well. You may remember when I first started my speech just now, I had said depending really on who you talk to and in which part of the world you are, you're going to get different levels of skepticism to enthusiasm. So that's exactly what I meant. In terms of your first two questions about questions regarding whether some of the investments were made based on purely political reasons and not really for, I guess I would say, the good or the development of these Belt and Road countries, and whether there are issues of these projects being repaid later on. I would like to say, so far, the vast majority of the investment has been made by the Chinese government. There's literally no to very, very little private money. So that speculation about, kind of just using this more as a front to achieve the political agenda, I see where it comes from, but if you look at the actual money invested so far, is mostly from the Silk Road funds, et cetera, that are funded by the Chinese government and from multilateral banks. So there hasn't been much, if at all, private investments in there. So I think the fact that the funds comes mostly from governments would kind of rebut the fact that there is a hidden agenda, if you would, for these projects.
If I may also add, investment that only seek an immediate return of investment just for immediate profit is not necessarily also the objective of the Belt and Road and of what I was trying to advise. If we look at the initiative, the idea is also to bring development and to some extent stability, political stability with it. When you build a road, when you build a water supply system, it's not immediately profitable. But on the long run, you're stabilizing a country, you're stabilizing a region. And I think this is also what is very important. On the example you mentioned of large investing, large companies building a dam, and then you end up with a displaced population. Yes, true. This is exactly what the big multinational companies did in the 70s and 80s, and not the Chinese, the Western one. And they learned the lesson. They lost a lot of money doing that. So now they are a little bit more cautious. And they do their homework and they consult the communities. And before building a dam or before building a highway, the communities are approached and they are consulted. Well, this is the basic advice that I was giving earlier to the Chinese companies.